Here's David Pencer.
The following contest is set for one fall. Introducing first from the 37th Chamber in Detroit, Michigan, Shogun!
Up from the 37th Chamber comes Shogun. We've seen him here on Xplosion before, a judoka, a master in the combat sport of judo. Now, the sport has normally been dominated by the Japanese, save for people like David Douillet from France and others, but Shogun brings an interesting element to the professional wrestling world. Low center of gravity, the unique ability to get underneath his opponent, execute suplex after suplex. He's an interesting competitor. We're going to see how Shogun's style matches up with his opponent here. I'm expecting this one to be hard-hitting and have a lot of strategy to it as well. Don't sleep on what Shogun can do, and certainly don't sleep on his opponent.
His opponent, representing violence by design, Doering.
I'd like to open the floor for a discussion on the great wrestling tough guys, the double toughs, the Harley Races, the Hakus, the Fit Finleys, the Takayamas. We send love out to you. The Dick Slaters, the Jack Briscoes. Add Joe Doering to that talk. 2 decades as a pro, but most of it spent in the rings of Japan. And for those that don't know, that will harden a man's soul. Joe Doering, a former 2-time Triple Crown heavyweight champion. And the reason that is significant is because of how that title was born. I think reflects what's going on here between All Elite Wrestling and Impact Wrestling. The Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship was born like in the late 80s, early 90s. It was a unification of 3 titles. One of those titles was the PWF title that Shohei Giant Baba earned after a 10-match series against guys like Bruno Sammartino and Terry Funk and the Destroyer and Bobo Brazil and Pat O'Connor. And anyway, as the title's lineage went on, it fell to a man named Genichiro Tenryu, who also at the time held the NWA's United National title. Now, All Japan and the NWA are going to marry at some point in this story, and thus is born the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. And I think that the marriage or divorce or relationship between AEW and Impact could reflect this. So Tenryu, being that PWF and NWA United champion, loses it to Stan Hansen. Stan Hansen loses it to Jumbo Shiruda, who is already the NWA International Heavyweight Champion, and thus the 3 titles merge. The Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship was born, and decades later, Joe Doering made it his own. It may be a long-winded story, but it shows you how in professional wrestling, when we have unions and companies working together and wrestlers, that opportunities present themselves for greatness. You never know what's down the line. So now let's talk about the match. Joe Doering is just absolutely dominant. He's one of those guys, if you saw him coming at you down the street, you would run. I don't care how tough you are. You would question, I got to fight this guy? And how would you? Would you go for his legs? He's got big, thick legs. You go to try to knock him out, he does that! Eraser! Oh my gosh, we'll be back after this. Welcome back to Xplosion. While we were away, this has been more of Joe Doering, part of Violent by Design. I think he is the Violent in Violent by Design. The design is Eric Young, and the reason is the quote-unquote, and this is Eric Young talking, I'm paraphrasing, sickness of the business. The sport is ill. I just spent the whole first half of the match outlining the greatness of our sport, the heritage and the lineage. Oh, and clotheslines like that. How is the sport ill? Look at Joe Doering. Doesn't even go for a cover. When we talk about what Violent by Design are trying to accomplish, I just feel that maybe it's a misnomer. I don't know, but there's got to be a better word for the business being ill. I can understand that it's a little off, a lot of the guys and girls in it, you know. I mean, you can work with them, you don't have to go to dinner with them, right? You don't have to be their best friends. Shogun trying to take down Big Joe Doering. We mentioned all the great men on that list. We were talking about the title lineage. Think all the wars Joe's been in, all the guys that are trying to take him down. Shogun joins that list. Joe keeps going for that clothesline, and Shogun may very well join another list if he does not avoid that line. Let's see if Shogun can try to end it here. Going for a Saito, I don't think that's going to happen. The choice of moves in which you try, you have to realize how hurt your opponent is. And now, Joe Doering, the heel of the boot. I think this one is coming to an end here. Okay, so there's something. In our sport, we have something called crap canning a guy. It's the most disrespectful thing you could do to a guy. It's just when you are so dominant and you are so on a different page, you crap can them. You let them know, hey man, you know, I'm going to end this soon. Now, I don't think Joe Doering's confidence is coming from a false place. I think he's proving that he's dominant. He's been dominant for his entire career. He's dominated the rings of Japan, and now aligned with EY and Diener, part of Violent by Design, I think the domination continues. I think it's safe and fair for Joe Doering to be confident. Actually, it's safe and fair to Joe Doering to be whatever he wants to be, because who's going to tell him not to be? Oh, God. Oh! There you go, Shogun. Go on now. Bring back some of it. If nothing else, Joe will respect the fight. Look at Joe Doering, though. Hands are down, on his knees, not defending himself. Is Joe Doering starting to fade? Perhaps the heavy hands of Shogun. Hey, man, I'm trying. You know, I get excited because look, I've watched so many wrestling matches, as I'm sure many of you have. A lot of things can happen very quickly. It takes 1 second for a guy to tap out. It takes 3 seconds for a guy to lose a match. I think it takes a lifetime to recover from a Joe Doering beating.
I'm the man now!
Okay, yes, sir.
Violence!
Whatever you say. Like, I'm afraid to keep talking during the Joe matches. Fireman's carry, wrist capture. Joe Doering just dumps Shogun. Maintaining control. Oh! God, just end this.
Here is your winner, Joe Doering.
If ever I could name a move, I want Joe Doering's clothesline to be called F Your Face. Because that is literally what he does. Well, not literally, but you get the point. Holy cow. Is he not done? All right, I'm going to shut up. Yep. Crap canning Shogun is Joe Doering. Victorious. What a way to put an exclamation point on the word explosion, on the word impact, and on the words violent by design.
Well, it's a smart strategy, and now, wait a minute.
I guess Magnus was able to avoid the cage, but Storm didn't that time.
I thought the cage caught Magnus. I guess not, but the cage door definitely caught James Storm.
Went to a show, I'd build the ring, you know, pay dues, like, you know, with the normal process. And the show I went to forgot to book a referee. So my trainer's like, you know what you're doing, you look like a ref. I had ref gear in my bag already. Always be prepared for anything. So I reffed the show. My first show ever was an Iron Man, the entire show, and it felt natural.